Hello everyone and welcome to another Frick Programming. Today we're going to go over user input. Now, there are many types of input. You can get input from the keyboard, you can get input from files, you can get inputs from the mouse, you can get it from audio, you can get it from a controller, and really you can get it from any other peripheral. You can get it from a printer. If you have sensors, you can get from sensors as well. And if you have any other gadgets or gizmos that listen in on anything, you can really get any type of input from that. Now, in code, there are many different ways to listening to input. So we can listen to the input via scanners, via file streams, via file readers, and events. And one thing you always need to make sure you remember, you need to close your listeners. If you don't close any of your listeners, then you'll continue to listen on entirely for the duration of your program. And that could really clog up a lot of your processes. And it could potentially crash your program if it listens into something that it shouldn't be listening into. Now, let's go over keyboard input. To listen to the keyboard, we'll be using the scanner class. The scanner class is a library that will need to be imported. And the two main methods that we'll be using from the scanner class is the .next and .nextLine methods. And when we're done, we're going to use the .close method to close the scanner out. Now, let's switch over to the code. So here we are in the code. I'm actually going to delete everything and start from scratch. So if you just create a class that has nothing more than a public class and the main method, we can get started from here. Now we're going to need the scanner class, and the scanner class works as most any other class that we have, in which we have to put in scanner as the first thing, indicating that we want to use the scanner class. Then we name it whatever we want. Typically, what I've always named my scanners is input, meaning that we're going to input something. You want to make it concise, but also clear to anyone else who's reading the code that this is what it's going to be used for. And it equals a new scanner, since we're creating a new object of the scanner, or a new instance of the scanner. And we have to tell the scanner what to listen in on. So we're going to listen to system.in. System.in is any input that's being put into the system. Typically this defaults to the keyboard, but it could be something else if you were to program in system.in, or you can give this anything else that you would want. So we get an error. Now this error is basically indicating that we don't have a class called scanner. So what we need to do is we need to import that class. And we're going to import the java.util one, which is from the utilities class, or the utilities library of Java. So we import that and everything's all good. Now we do get a warning type error, and this warning type error is the local variable is not used. So we're going to start using this variable. So I'm going to ask the user to enter anything. And then I'm going to put a new line, which is, well, since I don't need to put that new line, since system.out.println prints what I have and then does a new carriage, so therefore the user will start inputting on the new line. And to listen in onto it, we're going to have to store this somewhere. So I'm going to create a string, and I'm going to call it user input. I'm going to set it equal to input.next. Now, as you saw, the IntelliSense popped up and it gave me a lot of different things, but it never actually showed .next. Sometimes your IntelliSense can be wrong and you just have to persevere through it. For some reason, mine is incorrect at the moment. I'll have to fix that for another time. So we see now that we're getting input.next. Now, I said that we're going to use the .next class, or the .next method, and the .nextLine method. And I'll show you the differences between both. And now we're getting the local variable user input's not used. We're going to use that. But we still have a warning on input, even though we're using it. And it says that we have a resource leak of input is never closed. So we're going to immediately want to close it after we're done using it. And now that warning went away. And we're going to want to put out the user input. And so I'm just going to easily just make another print line that says, here is what you gave me. And to concatenate strings in Java, you end the string at a plus sign and input the other part of the string that you would want to put in. In this case, since user input is a string itself, I don't have to convert it to a string. If it's another variable or another primitive type, you would have to convert it to a string using the .toString method that's usually incorporated in those classes. But we'll go over that at another time, just like we'll go over other types of inputs at another time. So once we're here, we can now just run the method, and it's going to ask me to save because I didn't save. And it says enter anything. As a Star Wars fan myself, I always put in hello there, the famous quote of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And we're going to see what we get back. I'm going to zoom in just a bit so y'all can see it a bit better. So we put in hello there, and what we got back in return is hello. Well, I put in hello there, but it only gave me back hello. This is an issue with the .next method. The .next method actually only ever looks to the next sequence of characters that you give it until a space occurs. Once you input a space or a new carriage, or I think even a tab, let me try a tab. Hello there, or hello tab there. Yeah, anytime you give it spacing, so a tab, a space, or a new line, it'll only take what came before that. And then it'll give you that back in return. It'll store it where you indicate to store it, and it'll give you that back in return. Now, we don't really want that. We want next line, which will indicate it will listen to everything that we have until a carriage is given to us. A new carriage is given to us, which is the enter. It's called the new carriage or a new carriage line or the carriage based off of how old typewriters were. So that's where that nomenclature comes from. So if I run this again, if I save and run again, and we enter the same thing, hello there. Actually, let's respond to hello there with General Kenobi. We get back General Kenobi. I probably spelled General. I'm not going to worry about that. But we do now see that General Kenobi is given to us if we use the next line method. And if we don't close this, so if I just comment this out really quick, save and run again, if I put in General Kenobi, we'll still get General Kenobi back out. I fixed it this time. I don't have a typo in general. But we're not continuing to listen in on everything. But Java also does run in its own virtual machine. So it indicates when a program is ending, or if you have a listener still open and it's not listening to anything, there is a system process in the background of the Java virtual machine to go and close those automatically. You don't want to depend on those, so you want to make sure that you close them as well. But it's not too big of a deal in these small test methods or these small test programs to not close. You'll still get the warning, but once you go into the real world and to program in the real world, you will need to close all your listeners. Well, that is everything for today. Thank you all for joining me. I will see you again next time.